This is Mr. Smith, and this is a tutorial on adding titles to iMovie. Now, the basics you might already know. You've got all these title options over here that you can see if you click on the T that's right here. And you can take a title, and doesn't matter which one, you can drag it into this window up here. You can be behind a clip, it can be in front of a clip. Wherever you drag it, it's going to ask you what kind of background you want. You can pick whatever. I recommend picking something that fits with the feel of your movie. That's up to you though. You can go in and click on the text to change what it says, add new stuff. Click on show fonts to change the style, the actual font type that you have. You have a limited number of choices, but you have some choices. You can change the color, you can change the size, alignment, whether it's bold or not, whether it's italicized or not. This doesn't change options for every title. As you can see here, I'm hitting bold and nothing happens. I hit italicized, nothing happens. This right here is the stroke. That's the black line that you see going around the text. I recommend leaving that on. It makes the text easier to read, particularly with certain backgrounds. You can also take any of these titles and you can drag them right on top of a video clip, and it will superimpose itself on top of the clip, and you can do all the same options. Now, these are nice. You can use them in a pinch. They're very easy to use, but for me, they tend to be a little overused. Everyone who has iMovie has access to the same styles, and sometimes you want to customize something a little bit more. So I recommend using a different program to make the title for whatever movie you're making. Now, you could, in a pinch, use PowerPoint because it's very customizable. You have access to all the fonts that are installed in your computer, which is not something that's true for iMovie. And you can add whatever art you want to add. I tend to use Inkscape, which is free. It's downloadable to any kind of computer, Mac, Windows, or Linux. If you're running it on a Mac, you need a different program to make it run. So like here's Inkscape, but I need to run Xquartz to make sure Inkscape runs on a Mac. Xquartz is also free, so there you go. Now when you open up Inkscape, the first thing you're going to want to do is change the size of your document. If you are making a movie for YouTube or for anything that would be considered high definition, this is the size you're going to want. This is the pixel ratio for high def movies. You probably heard 1080p and 1080i before when they're talking about high definition. That's the number of pixels high the video is. The width of high def video is 1920. So if you set your image to be 1920 by 1080, that's the width, that's the height, then chances are you're going to have a piece of art that doesn't end up looking blurry or pixelated or smushed in any way when you throw it into a high definition movie. Okay, so I've already changed the size of this, so let's add some text. And let's say I made a Minecraft movie. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to type my awesome Minecraft adventure. There we go. Now I can change the size of the font by going over here and picking something larger or smaller. I don't often do that. I usually use a different way that I'm going to show you in a little bit. You click over here to change the type of font that you use, and I recommend whatever font you use, make a note of which font you use, because if you have to go back and make another title or edit a title and you're on a different computer perhaps, sometimes it's hard to find the font you were looking for. Sometimes you have to end up downloading it from another website, which is not always the best thing to do. But let's find a good font to use for my awesome Minecraft adventure. Okay, and I have selected Krungthep, which isn't a font that's on a lot of computers, but it's on mine, so I'm going to use it. Now, I don't want my title to be this small. I want it to be larger. I can go in and actually type larger numbers here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the Select tool. And with the Select tool picked, I can go in and I can stretch this out to make it fill the entire screen. I don't like that. Let's have some space over here that I can fill with a piece of art. Alright, so there we go. Now, I could use these various tools over here to make an image of whatever I want to do. But this is supposed to be a shorter video, so I'm going to cut a corner. I'm going to go to openclipart.org. Now, openclipart.org is a great resource. I've talked about it before, and I just did a search for a village because there are villages in Minecraft. Maybe in my imaginary Let's Play video I found a village and I was exploring that. So this is one of the village images that I found. If you are using openclipart.org to make something using Inkscape, you're going to want to download the SVG version of the art that's there because it's easier to edit. So when you find the image you want, you click on View Image, and it doesn't matter how big or small it appears over here, because if it's an SVG, as you may remember, you can change its size as much as you want and it won't change the quality. So I'm going to right click on this image, I'm going to save as, and it's going to save to, let's save it to my desktop so it's easier to find. There we go. And now let's go back to Inkscape, which is running inside export. So if you're running this on a Windows machine, then of course you can just go to Inkscape. If you're running this on a Mac, you'd be going to Exports, which brings up Inkscape. I know it's roundabout, but it works. Okay, so to import this, I go up to File, I go down to Import. I have it on my desktop. Let's go down to where it says Nukumuntu RPG Map Symbols Village. That's the file that I downloaded. I can click Open, and it's really small now, but I can drag this over and I can stretch it out. If I had downloaded an image that had like people on it or something like that, I would be more concerned about enlarging it and keeping the proportions accurate, but they're houses, so people will look at it and not realize that they are wider or taller or whatever compared to the initial image. Let's try to fill the space just a little bit more. There, that's pretty good. Now this white background, I don't quite like this white background, so I'm going to change the color of it. I'm going to go over to this rectangle tool. I'm going to draw a rectangle right on top of everything. And to make this go in the back, there's a tool to do that which you can find under Object. It would be lower to bottom. Also, if you have the Select tool clicked, it ends up here also. So it would be this button right here that sends it all the way to the back. And if I like that color, I can keep it. If I don't like it, I have all of these choices down here. I can pick any of them. And some of these look better than others. Some of these look a lot worse. I'm gonna go with that sort of light brown, though. I think it brings down the intensity of the white just enough. Now I could do other things with it. I could modify the text a little bit more. I could change the color of the text, but this is different enough from what iMovie or MovieMaker or even things like Final Cut Pro can do that it's going to stand out as something different. Alright, so to save this, of course, File, Save As, and you're going to want to save it as an SVG first because maybe you want to go back and edit it. Maybe you're doing a series of videos and they're all going to have similar titles with a slight difference. I can do that. Maybe I'm going to have like more than one of these where one of them says My Awesome Minecraft Movie, and I'm going to make another one right afterwards that says by Mr. Smith, and I'll have them play in a sequence. That could work. If I save it as an SVG file, I can go back in and edit it over and over again. I'm going to save that to my desktop. Hit save. There we go. And now I can't import an SVG into iMovie, so I need to export it as a bitmap also. So File, Export Bitmap, and check my sizes over here. It changed it a little bit. Oh, that's because it's saying selection. If I set it to page, it's going to be 1920 by 1080 right on the dot. So that's perfect for my purposes. It's going to save it as title.png to the desktop. If I didn't want it to save to that location, I could click Browse to tell it to save to another location. So I click Browse, and that interface there, which you should be familiar with by now, and then hit Export. Alright, so it is exported. I can go back to iMovie, and let's get rid of this title. I don't want that title there anymore. I don't want this title there anymore. And let's open up a Finder. Let's go to the desktop, title.png. I should be able to drag this right over like so. There we go. Now, automatically it turned on Ken Burns and scrolling, and I don't want that. So I'm going to click on that little gear, go down to clip adjustments is what I wanted. Let's make this a little bit longer. Let's make it be 6 seconds long. Okay, that's done. But still doing that Ken Burns thing. So click on the gear, cropping Ken Burns rotation. Ken Burns, maybe you want Ken Burns. Maybe you want it to scroll across like so. So you would move the green rectangle to where you want it to start with your camera view. Move the red rectangle to where you want it to end, and then it would scroll across like so, and you could play some type of title music, bumper music in the beginning. Maybe you want that. I don't, so I'm just going to go back to this. I'm going to tell it make it fit. I'm done, and there you go. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.